Hi, my name is Marissa and I had the opportunity to participate in the C-Phages program at Howard University this semester. So I'm going to teach you guys a little bit about a bacteriophage and what it is. Did you know that there's a population on Earth that outnumbers humans with a whopping 10 to the 31st power particles? Well, I want to introduce you to something known as a bacteriophage, or phage for short. A phage is a virus, meaning that it requires a living host to reproduce and carry out life functions. To be even more specific, a bacteriophage infects a bacterial host. And this is the structure of a phage. It has a head, or capsid, which contains genetic information, a tail used for injection of DNA into a bacterial host cell, and the tail fibers are used for attachment to a bacterial host cell. There are also two different types of phages, a lytic and a temperate phage. These two phages differ in two ways. One being the life cycles that they experience, and two being the appearance of the plaques that they form on a plate. A little side note is that a plaque is formed by multiple rounds of infection by a bacteriophage on a bacterial host, and it's formed on an agar plate. A lytic phage will produce clear plaques, while a temperate phage will produce turbid plaques. So a lytic phage will go through the lytic cycle, while a temperate phage may go through both the lytic and the lysogenic cycle. So first, I'll start by explaining the lytic cycle. So first, the phage will use its tail fibers to attach to the cell in a process known as adsorption. It will then inject its DNA into the cell. The DNA will then circularize within the cell to avoid the host cell's defense mechanisms. The DNA will then replicate within the cell and begin the process proven by the central dogma theory. The central dogma theory describes that DNA is first replicated and then transcribed to RNA, which is then translated into proteins. These proteins form the heads and the tails. New phage heads and tails will be produced and packaged to create new phages. These phages will lyse the bacterial cell, which means the breakdown of the cell's membrane, and release new phages to infect more bacterial hosts. However, in the lysogenic cycle, the DNA will integrate itself with the bacterial host DNA to form a prophage. It will then replicate without killing the host. The phage is able to replicate passively until the cell is introduced to unstable conditions. In that case, the phage will then switch to the lytic cycle and lysis of the cell will eventually occur. Both phage discovery and research are still being conducted to this day, but we know that there are many benefits to this type of research and the use of phages in general. For example, phages can be used to treat bacterial infections and illnesses. So this concludes my presentation and my lecture, and I hope you learned something new. Thank you.